G'day Australia and welcome to today's webinar. We're here today to talk about our 2020 Yellow Social Media Report. So I'm Greg Nicole and joining me today is Matthew Chenoweth.
Thanks Greg and thanks for Australia for joining today's webinar around social behaviours for 2020. So really glad to have you all on board and looking forward to going through some great data to share.
Absolutely, and I thought before we'll get into the detail today, we'd sort of start off a little bit light and talk about some of the funny data that's come out of the 2020 report.
Yeah, awesome. So I've got a great little stat here to share with everyone. It's interesting to know that 58% of Australians, the first thing they do when they wake up in the morning is check their social feed.
What about usage? How often are people actually on Facebook and Instagram and these sort of things?
Yeah, really good question. So what we're seeing at the moment is that the average Australian is checking their Facebook feed or Instagram feed up to 10 times a day. And in some cases, a percentage of that is up to 20 times per day.
It's unbelievable.
It is.
And time, do people spend a lot of time on these platforms?
Yeah, really good point. So what we're seeing now in 2020, the average Australian is spending up to 8 hours a week on Facebook, which is incredible in itself. And just behind Facebook at 8 hours is Instagram.
What? So obviously consumers are on Facebook and Instagram and all of the different platforms quite a bit of the time, right? They're spending a lot of time on there. So the question then becomes, are businesses taking advantage of this? So we, as well as interviewing a lot of consumers, part of the report is we also interviewed a lot of businesses. And what it actually tells us is that only 37% of Australian businesses have actually paid to market their business on social media at some point.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's an interesting statistic in itself. 37% of Australian SMBs.
It's not as many as you'd think.
No, not at all. But what I found very interesting is that 80% of the businesses that are advertising across social are seeing a great return on investment. So we're seeing more visits to websites, we're seeing more lead generation. So what that shows me is it's a great avenue to generate more inquiry for your business.
Yeah, so there's a trend there, isn't there? So
Absolutely.
Consumers are there, they're on there more than ever. 30% of consumers are reporting that they're spending more time on social media during COVID than what they were before. So they're using social media and all the platforms quite a bit, but businesses aren't necessarily taking advantage of it. And that's what we want to talk about today. So Matt, a question that I've got for you is, why would a business advertise on social media when you can just jump onto your Facebook page or jump onto your Instagram page and actually do a few free posts yourself?
Yeah, look, it's a really great question, Greg, and it's something that I come across a lot in the field dealing with businesses on a daily basis. Well, to start off, social media is a really cost-effective way to get not just your brand out there and into the market, but to drive traffic to your website. We can be extremely strategic in the way that we do it. So as most people know, social media is the big brother. So we can narrow it down to demographic, we can narrow it down to gender, we can put it right down to specific areas and interests. And what that means is we can be really specific and go after the audience that you want to attract to your business.
Okay, so like I promised, to go into a little bit more detail, we're actually going to be joined now via Zoom by Ashley McIntosh, one of our social media experts over in Melbourne. So welcome, Ashley.
Hi, it's great to be here. Thanks for having me.
Thanks for joining us today, Ash. So what we've got today is a few questions to go through with you. And one that I hear a lot out in the field dealing with businesses on a day-to-day basis is, what's the difference between a business running their own social media campaign as opposed to having a digital agency run it for them?
Yeah, of course. I think we get asked this quite often, to be honest. And the main point of difference when working with a digital marketing agency is the fact that you actually get dedicated support. We're hired as a sole purpose to ensure that running your social campaigns is as easily and seamless as possible for you, but also for your wider business. So, for example, when working with us from day one, you'll have a dedicated social specialist whose job is really to take a step back, take some time to really ingrain themselves in what you do on a day-to-day. It's all about what are your unique needs and how can they continue to support you throughout the process. So what we've done is we've actually taken a bit of a step back and we've spent some time ensuring that, that we have the right tech in place to create that smooth and seamless process from the very beginning, with the ultimate goal of getting your campaigns up and running as quickly as possible, but also as easy as possible as well. And then finally, in addition to that, it's the fact that Facebook is continuously cranking out new product updates. It's almost constant and it's super hard to stay on top of it. So that's where you can really rely on the fact that Yellow Social Ads actually prides itself on being up to date on best practice for advertising. And that all comes down to the fact that we actually have an official partnership with Facebook. So it really helps us stay on the front foot from that angle.
Yeah, thanks, Ashley. So we've got the experts, we've got the right technology, we've got the campaign all set up right. What sort of results can a business expect to get from a social media campaign?
Yeah, so it comes back to the marketing funnel, and the Yellow Social Ads platform can actually fulfill the entire marketing funnel. So the purpose of that, to again take it a step back, is to illustrate that hypothetical journey from initial brand discovery all the way through to conversion. Where you're providing a valuable service to a customer and the business outcome is in line with that. So whether it be purchasing or signing up to an offer or a service. So the Yellow Social Ads platform is actually extremely interchangeable. There's multiple ad objectives that you can select at each stage of the funnel. So ad awareness, for example, we have a reach objective. So driving customers for that initial touch point, engaging with your brand from the get-go and hopefully resulting in a phone call or a store visit. In addition, further down the funnel, we've got the traffic objective. It's very much at that consideration level. So that's more about engaging, brand discovery, taking your customers on a bit of a journey about who you are and what you're going to provide. Finally, lead generation objective. So this is more about that hard sale, that conversion. What is the point? And what that's about is really collecting user data and information for things such as subscription services or direct inquiries for your business. So when looking at it from that point of view, industries and benefits that we'd really recommend when looking at reach, for example, are restaurants, home services, retail, automotive. From a traffic or consideration layer, it's more about that e-com platform. Legal services, beauty is another one, medical or health as well. And then finally, if you've got lead generation as a goal for your business, think more along the lines of legal services, professional services, insurance, or fitness, for example. We've actually had some really great success recently with Girls Love Pearls. So they're a business ran out of Brisbane. They're a jeweler, and across 13 campaigns on the platform recently, they were able to reach an additional 140,000 new customers that had never, engaged with them at all prior to the campaign activity, which was an excellent result. They almost couldn't keep up with the demand, which is great. And in addition to that, the King's Academy of Martial Arts, which is actually located in Western Sydney, they had a lead generation campaign with us, and it was basically to get people to actually sign up to classes, and they couldn't keep up with demand because we had over 175 that were immediately signed up. So what you can see from those case studies is that by aligning your business objective to how we set up the campaign initially, you can expect some really amazing results, but also some results that are quite quick to happen as well. So there's a really, really great opportunity there for new businesses and also expansion.
That's awesome, and
That's
some great
fantastic.
insights there, Ashley. Thank you for that. Tell me, what would sort of a budget look like for a small to medium business wanting to expand into the social media space?
Yeah, of course. So we very much look at this from a tiered approach. So we have a set of packages. They start at $400 and go all the way up to $4,000. So obviously, the higher the package, the more inclusions that are involved with that, and more, elements that you get to unlock, like any given service. So one of those, for example, is a service call. So the frequency in which the service call arrives, it can be either quarterly, bi-monthly, or monthly, dependent on the package value that you actually purchase. And the service call's main goal, is to actually go over the results of the campaigns, derive out those learnings and see if the customer's happy. Like, do you want to continue running activity? Is there any feedback for us on how we can improve as well? This is very much a two-way street. In terms of those package amounts, if you do invest $400, for example, that amount actually gets allocated to the length of your campaign. And then the campaign's lifetime budget is used by Facebook to deliver the ad to those people who are likely to complete the desired action. So, for example, whether it be reach or lead generation.
Okay, awesome. Yeah, so it sounds like there's a tier for every different type of business goal.
Absolutely.
Yeah, awesome. Now, we hear all the time that a lot of people think that Facebook is just for visual type businesses. So think your restaurants and your cafes and your hairdressers. I mean, is this true?
Absolutely not. I mean, it comes back to the fact that there's 18 million monthly active social media users in Australia. I mean, I myself am constantly on it. You know, they say that 1 in 3 minutes online is actually spent within social channels. So 70% of those that access the internet are accessing Facebook on a daily basis, which is huge. And in terms of purchasing behaviour, 42% of Australians actually say that Facebook is their number one influencer of purchases. It's where they're finding out about a brand from the very beginning. So it's super important that we're prominent in that space. Even if users are actually converting on paid search, for example, it's often because they've been exposed to a Facebook ad as their initial point of discovery. So there's a very close link between the two. And any brand within any vertical that has an objective or an action that they're actually desiring, you know, you have a key USP and a key message. So as long as you can bring that to the forefront, it doesn't matter whether you're visual or a hairdresser. The reason behind that is because Facebook is quite simply the platform that enables us to reach the most potential customers in the most cost-effective manner. So what we have done is thought about some tips though that are asked, you know, if you are asking, but how can I, you know, make my business into a social friendly platform or creative asset? Key things to remember are to be visual, consider using infographics, you know, interactive tools, resources to educate your customers on what your service is. Don't use social media just for the sake of it. Like, actually engage with your customers online. Social media is meant to be social. So put a face to your organization and create a brand that, you know, fans are really going to want to engage and interact with. And then finally, be creative. Don't be scared to, you know, play, I guess, within a bit of that fun and quirky space. You need to be able to catch a consumer's eye. So put in a really strong creative effort, you know, draw consumers to your product, take people by surprise, or even think about using humor, for example. It's how do you play on that relatability between customers and businesses?
Yeah, wow. Geez, our customers are really in good hands with you and the team. You absolutely know what you're talking about. Just on that, COVID-19, obviously we're living in a slightly different world at the moment. Do you and the team, have you changed the approach that you take when you're setting up campaigns and running campaigns now during COVID-19?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, we had to. If anything, every single business had to be agile more than ever during this time. And what we've seen is some really stark behaviors in terms of how people are actually engaging with media and digital consumption in the first place. So, for example, we've actually seen a 50% increase in time spent on social media during restrictions and lockdown laws, which is huge because it does mean that there's more people than ever engaging on the platform. But how can we as businesses be really tactile with that information and use it to our advantage? So I guess what we need to think about is how can we ensure that we're thinking about what it means for the future media consumption. It's not just about the now and being really reactionary. It's also being proactive for what's to come. And obviously an element of that is unknown, but there are some things that we can really, I guess, anchor ourselves in now. So 3 key changes that we've sort of enabled within internal is the fact that we wanted to adapt customer communication. It's about reimagining your marketing strategy and plan the path to recovery as well. That's also really, really important. So we've got a few tips of what we think are, I guess, really important for businesses to acknowledge, accept, and also use. So maintaining proactive and frequent contact with your customers. People at the moment are more uncertain than ever, and they really appreciate those brands that reach out and that are super authentic in how they do that. You know, it's about setting realistic expectations as well. Don't overpromise and underdeliver in an uncertain time, as is. Just be really honest. And constantly monitor and act upon customers' feedback and changes in consumption scenarios as well. You know, obviously with the laws changing quite quickly, you do need to have that flexibility within your strategy as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, Ashley, thank you so much for all the time you've spent with us today and sharing all those insights, hints, tips and tricks. And look, our Yellow Social customers obviously are in fantastic hands with you and the team. And I want to thank you for joining us again today.
Thank you so much. It's been a pleasure.
Thanks, Ashley. So some great insights there from Ashley, wasn't there? Some
absolutely.
great statistics and some great reasons as to why a business should really look at a online strategy and a social strategy for 2020. So in fact, 37% of SMBs who advertise on social platforms are saying that 80% of them are actually getting a return on investment.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's not only about that advertising and that marketing, it's also about trust. So if you think about it, a lot of people, before they make their final purchase decision, they do jump onto social, they check out reviews. It's called social media for a reason. It's social media because it's social. It's like going down the pub. So before, in the past, you'd go down the pub, be like word of mouth. Can't do that at the moment. And people do a lot more of that social interaction via social media. So that's where they get the trust component that they need on that path to purchase before finally making their decision. So some great information again from Ashley. And look, before we actually dive a little bit deeper into the actual Yellow Social offering, I think I'd like to just summarise just what we've talked about so far before we dive in. So I think, Matt, it's fair to say that Australians spend a lot of time on social media.
Absolutely.
Okay.
I think we've seen that today, haven't we?
I mean, Facebook alone, 89% of Australians are spending, 8 hours a week on social media. Instagram, 7 hours a week. So I think this is a platform that is already huge, but it's growing, and it's certainly growing during COVID when people are spending more and more time at home in lockdown on social media.
Yeah, absolutely. And we know that people go to social media as part of their buying cycle. When they're going through that path to purchase, whether they come through Google, they land on a website, at some point in that buying cycle, they're going to go to social media, they're going to check out their feed. So it's a great way to get in front of people at the right time.
Yeah, absolutely. In fact, the way I look at social media is I think it's the best of awareness advertising, but also the best of search advertising. So imagine if you could have a TV ad, but you only had to pay for that TV ad when somebody interacted with it and went to your website. That's what social media is.
Absolutely. And I think when we're looking from a cost-effective point of view, it's really cost-effective to drive traffic and leads to your business via social. If we look at it and compare it to, let's say, a Google Ads campaign, when we're looking at cost per click anywhere up in the dollars, when we're looking at social cost per click, well, it's in the cents, isn't it, Greg?
Oh, look, yeah, quite often your cost per click on a social campaign is less than what it is on a Google search campaign.
Yeah.
So absolutely great value for money.
So let's talk about Yellow Social Ads and how Yellow Social Ads are helping hundreds of SMBs around the country today and helping them throughout Australia drive traffic, leads and brand awareness through Facebook and Instagram.
Yep. So Matt, like all of our Yellow products, one of our key things is we like to keep things simple. We like to make it easy for you and we like to get you a great result. So number one is we create all the ads, all the copy. We draw on our extensive social media experience to make ads that have the right message, targeting the right audience and are getting results. So that's number one. We do it all for you.
Absolutely. And I think a real good point to that is we set you up with the latest technology. So for an example, we use a Facebook pixel, and what we do is we place this pixel on the back end of your website. And in doing this, it's going to allow us to go after lookalike audiences. So let's say that somebody lands on your website and we can gather the data through the information we grab through that pixel, and then we can publish your ads out in front of people that are looking for similar products and services.
Wow, okay. That's a great little piece of technology, yeah. And the last one is really, really important. We are constantly testing all of the ads that we place up there for our customers to make sure that we're putting the right ad in the right place at the right time to the right audience. And we do this by A/B testing the ads. So every single month, we have 3 versions of your ad up there at any point in time. And the version that is getting the most results, we keep, and we take that through to the next month where we'll test something else. Then we'll keep the best version of that, take it through to the next month where we'll test something else. So we're constantly evolving the ad to make sure, again, that we're getting the best version of your ad, getting in front of the right people at the right time with the right message. It's really important.
Yeah, absolutely, Greg. Great points.
Now, I hear you saying this all sounds great, but does it actually work? So I thought it would be a good opportunity to have a look at a couple of customers that we've done a great job for over the last couple of months and actually show you what we've been able to do for those businesses.
Yeah, thanks, Greg. So, look, first of all, I'd like to look at Austrac Campers, and they're based in Queensland and Victoria. So, while Austrac already had a social media account, the director of Austrac found it really, really valuable to start looking at and understanding the space in social media and engaging with a professional agency to support them in a digital media strategy.
And what sort of results we had achieved for them?
So what we did see is we've seen a massive impact when we looked at launching into the social media space. And what we did see is we've seen an increase in form fills via Facebook, which is, as we've covered off today, a really important platform to be in front of. And what we've seen was an increase in inquiries for products. So plus we also got a lot of straight requests from website clicks. And after nearly running the campaign for a whole year, Lyndon says that social ads now play a massive role in his marketing strategy for 2020, and it's growing day in, day out.
Yeah, awesome. Great example, Matt. Another one from where Matt and I come from here in Adelaide is Grand Auto Wreckers. Now, Grand Auto Wreckers, like many proactive business people, wanted to basically make sure they could take advantage of the explosion in social media across Australia and reach that younger audience. The business owner down there, Anthony, he said, we wanted to target the right audience, people looking for the products and services we offer to help them get their car back on the road. I knew social was going to be a big marketing platform, so I wanted to be on top of things. And you know what? Anthony was right. Yellow Social Ads delivered a 186% increase in clicks to Grand Auto Wrecking just from 1 month to the next. So there's no doubt, Matt, that social ads deliver results.
Absolutely.
It's clear that Yellow Social Ads makes the whole process easy and delivers a great return on investment.
Yep. Fair to say, Greg.
Fair to say. So to help you experience this for yourself, today we've got a very special introductory offer for our Yellow Social product. So instead of our normal 6-month minimum commitment period, we've cut that in half to 3 months. We want people to be able to dip their toe in and try social media and not be afraid of that initial period of 6 months, right? So we've cut that down to 3, but on top of that, we're also waiving our normal setup fee where we build all the ads for you and get everything set up. That's normally $199. We're just waiving that altogether.
Yeah, absolutely. So, it's a better time, more than ever. Based on the data and statistics that we went through today, there is no doubt that social media is a fantastic platform to get some brand awareness out there, drive more visitors to your website, and also generate more leads off the back of it.
And save a couple $100
Absolutely.
in the process. Absolutely. So, yeah, great time to get on board. I'd just like to thank you all for joining us today for our Yellow Social Media webinar. I hope you all take advantage of this offer because it is a great time to jump on board. Obviously, social media is up. You've got the experts looking after you. So speak to your Yellow consultant who should be sitting there with you right now. They'll be able to bring this to life for your business and work out the right tier for you to operate with today. And look, until next time, thanks for joining us again and we'll see you on the next webinar.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks, guys.